Part 63, in Lotus Flowers Appreciation Party, splendid heartbeats and warming chatting. Yesterday's Bai Xuelan's various things were obviously not pleasing to the eye, but for Xuan Huaifeng, who has made a promise now, it is the lover's eyes that show beauty, but there are countless others. However, Xuan Huaifeng and Nian Liangfu suddenly had close contacts. But for their happy life like heaven and earth, it added a lot of haze that was difficult to sweep away, displayed in front of the two people who were deeply affectionate and sweet. It was a sudden downfall at any time as a storm. In the turbulent times they will present the most splendid double waltz, the two embraced quietly, as if their heartbeats were converging. Bai Xuelan seems to be in a dream, his whole body is unspeakably comfortable, and it is like waking up on a bright spring morning, enjoying the morning light caressing his body, but not wanting to get up. The comfort, this taste is very sweet, but it is not the word sweetness is enough to describe it, but it is the slight smoke of the old wine. Suddenly, I heard a yeah sound. Xuan Huaifeng, who was lying on his chest, moved slightly. Bai Xuelan woke up and asked quickly, "What's wrong?" Xuan Huaifeng raised his head and asked, "What's the hour now?" Bai Xuelan said, "Why are you asking the hour?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "You really forget the world. You held a Lotus Flowers Appreciation Party and invited a group of guests. Could it be that the host has disappeared since then?" Bai Xuelan said, "What's the matter? Those who are officials can eat and drink, enjoy lotus flowers, and listen to foreign music. I took a big advantage early on. Why should I give up the good times now and go out to entertain them?" Xuan Huaifeng laughed. "I'm sorry, some of my friends are not officials. If I invite them over, I can't leave them alone." After speaking, he straightened up from Bai Xuelan's arms and fished for the silk sheets with his hands. Bai Xuelan pulled him back, bit his ear and chuckled. "Which friend is so important, better than me? You are thin-skinned, and you are afraid that the guests outside will say that the two of us are together. Aren't you?" Xuan Huaifeng pulled his ears away from his mouth, turned his head and squinted and said, "I have a thin skin, I admit it, so what?" He grabbed the sheets, wrapped himself around him, and got out of bed and slipped behind the screen. This intimacy is really on a higher level. Bai Xuelan was so amused, he stretched out on the bed, rested his hands on the back of his head, leaned on the soft pillow, and waited for Xuan Huaifeng to come out of the screen. After a while, Xuan Huaifeng came out from inside. The long gown he wore just now had been torn by the carnivore Bai Xuelan. Fortunately, there were a lot of clothes in the closet. He didn't want to be noticed that he changed his clothes when he came in, so he deliberately chose a long gown of the same color and put it on, holding a pocket watch in his hand. Xuan Huaifeng pointed it at the lamp, and said in surprise, "It turned out to be only an hour." Bai Xuelan asked, "How long do you think it has been?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "It just seems like it has passed. It took a while, but when I estimated later, I was afraid that at least 2 or 3 hours had passed." Bai Xuelan nodded and smiled. "It makes sense, it makes sense. It is said that there is only one day in the mountains, but it has been 1,000 years in the world." Xuan Huaifeng knew that he was in a good mood. When this person was complacent, he refused to forgive others. He said something to himself. Xuan Huaifeng looked at Bai Xuelan and asked him, "Why are you still lying down?" Bai Xuelan asked back, "If I don't lie down, do I still walk around naked?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "Who wants you to be naked? Hurry up and put on your clothes." Bai Xuelan looked around. "Where's your clothes?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "I see. You are waiting for me to serve you. Did I tell you that I will be with you for a lifetime, from now on, for a lifetime, bring you tea and water, give you clothes, and serve you like an ox and horse?" Bai Xuelan hurriedly said, "Don't be angry, you want me to serve you." Xuan Huaifeng jumped up from the bed, suddenly couldn't help smiling, and said, I don't dare, I'll serve you. Who told you to be the chief? I'm the adjutant. He walked into the closet and took a small set for Bai Xuelan. The clothes hanger came over with a long gown. Handed it to him, and said, that suit is too wrinkled, wear this. The color is about the same. Bai Xuelan happily wore it. The two came out of the room and walked to the place where the guests were entertained, watching from a distance that every window upstairs and downstairs was lit with electric lights. And music and laughter came from there. Looking to the right, there is a row of palace lanterns hanging under the corridor, glowing red and festive. Now it is not fashionable to use candles, and the wires run along the eaves. The palace lanterns are actually equipped with light bulbs which are covered tightly outside. The lampshade is red, and the light is red. Going along the lamp, in the distance is the pond for viewing lotus flowers. There are probably 2 or 3 close friends who are still chatting privately under many trees. Xuan Huaifeng and Bai Xuelan walked side by side. Only to think that everything was so beautiful. Whether it is the moonlight, the fragrance of flowers sent by the evening wind, or other hazy voices, they are all beautiful. Bai Xuelan turned his head to one side, and saw the faint tranquility on Xuan Huaifeng's face. He also felt very beautiful. When we got to the building, the noise grew louder. After all, Xuan Huaifeng was not as open as Bai Xuelan, and he was always afraid that someone would see something when he entered, so he said to Bai Xuelan, go to the hall first, greet the guests you invited. And I will go upstairs to see my friends, okay? Good? The last 3 words, good or bad, are remarkable. It was the tone of a partner who had a good deal with Bai Xuelan. Bai Xuelan was happy in his heart, knowing that he was shy, and smiled. What's wrong with this? You have to come over to accompany me soon. Xuan Huaifeng joked with him. No. A friend came from afar, I want to accompany them tonight. Bai Xuelan released his hand. Xuan Huaifeng gave him a smile, turned and went to the other end of the stairs. Bai Xuelan watched his tall and slender figure disappear at the end of the stairs. He shook his head with a smile, and murmured, I don't know heaven and earth. I don't know heaven and earth. He breathed a sigh of relief and stepped into the living room in good spirits. When the guests saw the host's appearance, they all said hello to him. Several of them saw him across the living room. They didn't care about anything else. They carried enamel porcelain plates with small cakes in his direction, and seemed to have something to talk to him. Bai Xuelan ignored everything else and called Adjutant's son over, and asked in a deep voice, has that surnamed Zan gone? Adjutant's son said. Song Ren had already been kicked out through the back door. But that guy really fierce, even Song Ren dared to beat him. If it wasn't for seeing that his adjutant was the younger brother of Adjutant Xuan, I would be embarrassed to meet each other in the future. Song Ren's brothers would have let him see blood. Bai Xuelan snorted coldly. What's the embarrassment? He was beaten all over the floor, only to know how powerful it is. I think that Huaifeng's brother is not a good thing, so don't let him appear in my place in the future. Adjutant's son said in surprise. Adjutant Xuan and their brothers have no relationship? Are you alright? Bai Xuelan frowned. I don't know about that. Anyway, with such a bastard, how can I get better? Only then did Adjutant's son know that his immediate superior was eating a serious amount of vinegar. This is a matter in the world of Chief Bai and Adjutant Xuan. Adjutant's son smiled perfunctorily and passed. Xuan Huaifeng went upstairs, and outside the small single room, he could hear the chatter and laughter inside. The strange thing was that there was another woman's voice. This crisp voice seemed a little familiar. As he thought about it, he opened the curtain and said, Sorry, I've been neglectful. I've never accompanied guests. As soon as he appeared, the crowd became even more noisy, and they all said, "You're a busy person," just perfunctorious, and left. Now, I didn't even turn around. Changping laughed. "Since you know I'm sorry, you must have admitted the punishment. Come. Let's punish you for 3 drinks first." He lowered his head to look for the wine glasses on the table, and suddenly remembered that he would be rewarded with lotus tonight. It was tea. But no wine was poured. Changping sighed. "What should I do if I don't have wine? Should I just let him go?" Xuan Huaifeng immediately objected. "Of course we can't let it go easily. Please come here and leave us like this. What's the point? If we let it go, we will not be taken seriously in the future. Punish him to sing. It's better for us to listen to English songs." No. Didn't he just say that he can pull a bell? Such a quiet lotus reward must be complimented by such an elegant thing. Everyone applauded, saying that this punishment would be elegant. Xuan Huaifeng stood blushing, refused to answer, and pulled out the chair to sit. Xuan Huaifeng covered the chair with his hands and shouted, "You are not allowed to sit. You are not allowed to sit. You must admit the punishment. Take out your meal guy and play it for us. Stand again." Xie Chaifu came out to be a peacemaker, patted Xuan Huaifeng on the shoulder and said, "Brother, you can be content. Even if Mr. Xuan left you out for an hour, it's not bad for you. He invited the eldest lady to come over and talk to you. You should be grateful too." Xuan Huaifeng said, "It doesn't count. Did Miss Yang come to talk to us under his order? It was because of like-mindedness that we talked about it. Do you think it is true, Miss Yang?" After speaking, he turned to look at the stylish beauty with curly hair and a shawl across the table. Just now Xuan Huaifeng heard a somewhat familiar voice of a woman, Ouyang Qian. Xuan Huaifeng was also surprised that Ouyang Qian and these people were chatting and laughing together. Ouyang Qian smiled and said, "Mr. Huang, I have to be fair. Although I was not ordered by Mr. Xuan to receive your advice, I was really invited by his invitation to come to this lotus flowers party. It seems that there is a certain causal relationship. Considering the small friendship I have chatted with you for half a day, can I avoid his punishment? She is such a woman. And she pleads for mercy with a smile, and it is difficult for everyone to refuse." Xuan Huaifeng sighed deliberately, and said to Xuan Huaifeng, "I'm not reconciled. He is taking advantage of being good-looking, and he is protected by women wherever he goes. Okay, I'll spare him." He pulled out the chair and made a respectful gesture. "Please sit down." Xuan Huaifeng only got a seat. When he sat down, he bowed his hands gratefully to Ouyang Qian and asked curiously, "How did Miss Ouyang get along with this? How many friends have started chatting?" Ouyang Qian giggled. "I'm so sorry to say, I'm the god of the ear wall. I came from the lotus pond at the back. I wanted to look for the owner in the building. But I passed the corridor outside. I heard a lot of talk about the current and the wrong, and when I was curious, I rushed in. Fortunately, your friends don't dislike me and let me sit in." Changping interjected, "Miss Ouyang, you are so polite. You are also a very knowledgeable woman. You were very talkative just now, and even Huaifeng, a socialite, admires you." Xuan Huaifeng recalled the words he heard through the window just before entering, and asked, "Did you guys talk about something just now? Elementary school?" Ouyang Qian seemed to like talking to him, and she said first, "It's Xinsheng Elementary School. It's a very pragmatic school. The principal is really amazing. And she's also a woman. We are discussing how to help her." "What?" Xuan Huaifeng thought to himself, and sure enough, he heard it right, this is the freshman primary school. The last time I saw the school's fundraising advertisement in the newspaper, I had already been suspicious, but there were too many things, and I never took the time to ask what happened. Why do you need someone else to help now? Are you short of money again? From this point of view, the female principal named Dai Yun spent too much money. Xuan Huaifeng's first impression of Dai Yun was very good, and he believed it at first, but at the moment he was a little worried that his friends would be fooled by her, and frowned. I read about this school in the newspaper, and in my opinion, the media will be at the meeting. Those who ask for help are suspected of being grandstanding. No. Huang Wanchen cut off his words and said sternly, Huaifeng, there are many liars under the guise of education now. But I can guarantee that this freshman primary school it's not among them. Xuan Huaifeng asked, how can you see it? Huang Wanchen said, you just saw the fundraising in the newspaper. Halfway through speaking, I suddenly remembered something. For a second, then, tisk. Twice. Then. He looked at Xuan Huaifeng with a smile. Xuan Huaifeng was puzzled by him. Everyone was waiting for Huang Wanchen to speak, when suddenly seeing him acting like this. They all became anxious and pushed him. Speak quickly, being a reporter has such virtues, it always makes people lose their appetite. Huang Wanchen then said, Huaifeng. It's okay that others don't know about this, but why don't you know? You still come to ask me? Are you trying to find out what's going on? Xuan Huaifeng's face changed slightly when he said it. And he asked him, how can you inquire about the inside story? Huang Wanchen laughed. What good thing did you do for being a Jade, and you want to hide it, right? Your good deeds are afraid of being known. You are really cute. After saying this, everyone's eyes swept to Xuan Huaifeng again. On his face, as if trying to see a secret from him. Yang Qian's big watery eyes took this opportunity to stare at him without hesitation. Xie Chaifu said, okay, don't play dumb riddles. Say it quickly, we will go to enjoy the lotus flowers later. If you fail the moonlight, we will punish you. Huang Wanchen then said, to be honest, that fundraising I strongly suggested that the principal surnamed Dai should publish the advertisement. Even the wording was decided on my behalf. Xuan Huaifeng asked in surprise, it was you who wrote it? Is the primary school really short of money? Isn't that right? Huang Wanchen said, look. It's a show-off, right? How do you know that she is not short of money? She told me that there was a large sum of money, which was donated by the chief of the customs. It was very kind. The money raised was entirely due to an adjutant of the chief of customs. Huaifeng, I didn't know you were working in the customs office at the time. If I had known, I might have guessed who she was talking about. You are the adjutant who has helped this school a lot, right? Regarding the donation, because of a small misunderstanding, the other party always thought it was the head of the customs. Xuan Huaifeng was also happy to see it succeed, as it helped Bai Xuelan to establish a little good reputation. He said lightly, how can I help? Our chief is a very charitable person. Huang Wanchen knocked on the forehead with his hand. Oh, didn't you remind me that I offended him today? Sorry. I really don't know that he is your boss, not for his rank, but for his integrity. I admire him very much. The ancient way is warm-hearted. And he hates evil. Xuan Huaifeng heard someone praise Bai Xuelan. He smiled and said, it's not that I speak big words for my boss. He really deserves these 8 character test words. Yang Qian asked incomprehensibly, it turned out to be a donation from the chief of customs, so I'm puzzled. I got up. If that's the case, why are you still collecting donations in the newspapers? Could it be that the commissioner of customs is too stingy and the money he gave is not enough? Even so, if the advertisements are published, there should be a lot of donations from the community. It was Xuan Huaifeng's question. Huang Wanchen said, it was enough. I didn't expect that the principal did a good job. At first, there was no money and the students didn't dare to charge more. Later, when she got a little money, she first used it to buy textbooks and stationery, and then she thought about so many orphans. If there are no books to read, try to save as much as possible, and then accept a few more. Then, there is another example of a poor child who is not an orphan. But the family is really poor and wants to read, so she has to accept it. Changping snapped a slap. He palmed and sighed, it's not good. There are many people who can't read books but want to read books. At the beginning, it's like a tide coming in. Xuan Huaifeng nodded and said, although it can't be said that the tide is the same. But the number of students has suddenly changed from 30 to 40 to more than 200. For one, even the food must be counted on the school. Of course. The sum given by the chief of customs is not enough. So, I know, and I urge Ms. Dai Yun to publish an advertisement. But now there are daily advertisements for charity fundraising. However, there are few philanthropists. There are too many monks and few porridges. After 3 consecutive days of registration, only half of the expected amount was raised. What's more, some people who are not at this level listened to the advertisements and rushed to send their children. I sent it here, thinking that the textbook will be free of tuition. And it will also provide cheap food and drink. Money is really a harmful thing. He sighed gloomily. Yang Qian laughed and said, Mr. Huang, you are certainly a noble social critic. But I have a small criticism. I think you are too pessimistic about many things. For example, money, although it hurts people. When it comes to helping others, otherwise. Why should we raise money for Xinsheng Primary School? Xie Chaifu said, Ms. Yang is right. Wanshan's cynical problem is too intense. Changping said, in this way. The principal of this freshman primary school is adhering to the very noble goal of education. We should all help in raising funds. Xuan Huaifeng knew that among his friends. They were all about talent, ideals, and passion. Only when it comes to money, it's mostly a breeze. In the customs office, I can earn $2, so I should really contribute. He was about to open his mouth when he heard Yang Qian say softly, my father has been in the business world for many years, and he has some reputation. If you don't dislike me for being too busy, I ask that this matter be handed over to me, how about it? When Xuan Huaifeng heard this, he had no choice but to remain silent. The eldest lady of the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce came forward to raise funds for Xinsheng Elementary School, and the effect must be much better than that of an adjutant. Huang Wanshan said happily, if Miss Yang is willing to help, of course it would be best. But, will it make Miss Yang embarrassed? Yang Qian smiled and said, what's the problem? My father is the most supportive of charity. There are fundraising receptions abroad, why don't we do one too? All the money raised will go to Xinsheng Primary School. How about this idea? Most people will give a thin noodle. Naturally, there are a lot of things at the reception, and you have to ask for your help. Several people in the room immediately waved their hands and explained. It's not that we don't help, we are a little bit of foreign things like foreign receptions. I don't understand, it's a disservice to make you make a fool of yourself. Huang Wanshan was very active. Raised his hand and said, I propose myself, how about it? Yang Qian glanced at him and smiled, of course, Mr. Huang is indispensable. Mr. Xuan can't escape either. Xuan Huaifeng was startled. Me? Yang Qian said to him, of course it's you. Aren't you a talented person who has stayed abroad? I can only steal your teacher from you about this foreign reception. Xuan Huaifeng became embarrassed and declined, I'm in the UK, and I only go to school every day. And I don't attend any receptions. Why don't you tell me when Miss Yang is raising money? I'll see how much salary I can get, and I'll show you how much money I can get. Come on. Huang Wanshan gave him a strong push on the shoulder and smiled. Just talk, why are you blushing? Bid Xuan, you are the one who has been ordered, so hurry up and take orders. For charity. Can't you use such a little strength? Everyone said yes. Xuan Huaifeng was helpless, so he could only bite the bullet and agree. After another cup of tea, everyone smashed melon seeds while listening to Xuan Huaifeng talking about Xinsheng Primary School. There are so many new students, and there are not enough old buildings to build. The students are of different quality and bad. Some have developed bad habits. In the kitchen, they bought a pot of oil made from fattening meat. They stole it in a few days. In the end, they had to lock the oil pot in the cupboard. Xuan Huaifeng asked, "It sounds familiar to you, have you been there before?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "Of course, I've been there many times. But the place is far away, outside the city, so it's not easy to make a trip. If it's inside the city, we can't afford the rent for such a big place. The problem of bad location is very difficult. It's a headache. Even if they are paid, few teachers are willing to work there." Yang Qian said, "I really want to go there in person. But I don't know if they are welcome or not." Huang Wanwan said, "Why not? Absolutely welcome." Yang Qian turned her head and asked, "Mr. Xuan, do you want to go?" Xuan Huaifeng had promised Dai Yun before that he wanted to visit him sometime. Now that they mentioned it, he also wanted to go. So, he just nodded. Yang Qian said happily, "Well, if I'm going, call and invite you. If you're going, give me a call. I'll write you the number." He opened the small bag embroidered with beads and took out a small letterhead printed with colorful lace, with a phone number written on it with a pen. Handed to Xuan Huaifeng, "Don't lose it." Huang Wanchen said, "Take it, you are shy at times like this. People who don't know your temper think you're falling in love with Miss Yang at first sight." Xie Chaifu said, "Wanchen, you are talkative, sooner or later, you will cause trouble. Since you know he's shy, why make fun of him?" Xuan Huaifeng finally had no choice but to take it. The small piece of paper with the graceful handwriting on it was soaked with a strange fragrance and penetrated straight into the tip of his nose. But Chengping joined in the fun and asked Xuan Huaifeng seriously, "You took someone's number, why didn't you give her your number? Otherwise, what would they tell you when they were going to go?" "No." Yang Qian smiled sweetly. "I still don't know the phone number of Chief Pai's mansion?" This smile was full of deep meaning.